Hello, good day everyone. My name is Santa Sarasambhada. I am a student from Pragmatics class at National University, Jakarta. I'm here to talk about reference and inference in Pragmatics, and I use Pragmatics book by George Yule as reference. So what is reference? Reference is the word we use to identify things are in the some direct relationship to those things. Reference is clearly tied to the speaker's goals and beliefs in the use of language. It is an act in which speaker or writer uses linguistic forms to enable a listener or reader to identify something. That means the speaker uses a specific word that should be identified by listener. This way is called referring expression. This is the categories of referring expression. Referring expression is divided into four types. The first is proper noun, second is definite noun, third is indefinite noun, and the last is pronoun. For example, take a look at this picture. There's a picture of Kim Tae-hyung and the city of Tokyo. Yeah. And the, uh, the proper noun, for example, proper noun is Kim Tae-hyung in Tokyo. Definite noun phrase is the singer and the city. Indefinite noun phrase is a man and a place. And the pronoun of Kim Tae-hyung is he and him, and the pronoun of Tokyo is it. It is important to recognize that not all referring expressions has identifiable physical reference. Indefinite noun phrases can be used to identify a physically present entity, but they can also be used to describe entities that, as far as we know, do not exist. This is attributive use or referential use. Take a look at these sentences. There is a man waiting for you. Would love to find a 9 foot tall basketball player. He wants to marry a woman with lots of money. A man waiting for you is referring to a physically present entity, and a 9 foot tall basketball player doesn't exist. But a woman with lots of money exists, but unknown. This is something called an attributive use, meaning whoever or whatever fits the description. In indefinite noun phrases, in which a can be replaced by any man. There's a man waiting for you. A man can be replaced with any man. That's what I mean. Indefinite noun phrase, in which the is assumed to exist but cannot be ensured yet. There was no sign of the killer. Like a reporter is reporting a mysterious death. Next, would be distinct from referential use. In indefinite noun phrase, a specific person is referred to, although his or her name is or some other description is not used. It's a choice the speaker makes. For example, he wants to marry a woman with lots of money. From this sentence, a woman with lots of money, listener would be more interested to hear a woman with lots of money than a name. Indefinite noun phrase, the shows that a reference does exist. There was no sign of the killer. If a particular individual had been identified as having done the killing and had been chased into a building but escaped, then uttering the sentence in there was no sign of the killer is about that individual would be a referential use based on the speaker's knowledge that a reference doesn't exist. The point of this distinction is that expressions themselves cannot be treated as having reference, as is often assumed in semantic treatments, but are or are not invested with referential function in a context by a speaker or writer. Next, in reference, there is a basic collaboration. First, intention to identify. Second is recognition of intention. So what is collaboration? Collaboration is this process needs not only work between one speaker and one listener. It appears to work in terms of convention between all members of a community who share a common language and culture. This. For example, Shakespeare, the word Shakespeare, does not only refer to a specific person. For example, can I borrow your Shakespeare? And B, yeah, it's over there on the table. In here, Shakespeare is not referred to a specific person, but it's referred to the things the writer produced, like a novel. Conventional and culture-specific set of entities. Like the other example here, Picasso is in the museum. Picasso is refer to the like art that Picasso's make. We're going to see Shakespeare in London. In London, I enjoy listening to Mozart. Next is reference is not only simply a relationship between the meaning of a word or phrase and an object or a person in the world. It is a social art in which the speaker assumes that the word or phrase chosen to identify an object or a person will be interpreted as the speaker intended. These are the kinds of reference. First, there anaphoric reference, antecedents, catapora, zero anaphora or ellipsis. First, anaphoric reference and antecedent. Anaphoric is in talking and reading, we have to keep track of who or what we are talking about for more than one sentence at a time. Example, in the film, a man and a woman were trying to wash a cat. The man was holding the cat while the woman poured water on it. He said something to her and they started to laughing. Initial product introductory expression, a man, a woman, and a cat is the antecedent. And the subsequent expression like the man, the cat, the woman, it, he, her, they is the anaphor. It's often definite and or pronouns. The pronoun next, anaphora and catapora. Anaphoric reference is reference already introduced. Reference needs not to be exactly identical to antecedent. For example, peel and slice 6 potatoes. Put them in cold water. Them here is refer to potatoes. And then catapora. Catapora is reversal of antecedent anaphor pattern. Like, for example, I turned the corner and almost stepped on it. There was a large snake in the middle of the path. The pronoun it is used first and is difficult to interpret until the full noun phrase is presented in the next line. This pattern is technically known as catapora. Zero anaphora or ellipsis is when the interpretation require us to identify an entity but no linguistic expression is present. For example, peel an onion and slice it. Drop them into hot oil. Cook for 3 minutes. Here, cook for 3 minutes. Without the linguistic expression, listener is expected that the speaker tends to identify the peeled onion slices. When the interpretation requires us to identify an entity, as in cook for 3 minutes and no linguistic expression is present, it is called zero anaphora or ellipsis. The role of cortex. The example here, look at the example first. Brazil wins World Cup. The Brazil is the referring expression, while wins World Cup is the cortex. Cortex is the linguistic environment in which a referring expression or word is used. The cortex clearly limits our range of possible interpretation we might have words. Our ability to identify intended reference has actually depended on more than our understanding of the referring expression. In the example here, this sandwich is made with white bread. The cheese sandwich left without paying. The referring expression cheese sandwich provides a number of possible references. However, the difference of context leads to a different type of interpretation in each case. So identifying intended reference has been aided by the linguistic material or cortex accompanying the referring expression. The referring expression is actually provides a range of reference that is a number of possible reference. Next, cortex is thus a linguistic part of the environment in which a referring expression is used. The physical environment or context is perhaps more easily to recognize as having a powerful impact on how referring expressions are to be interpreted. Now we talk about inference. So, for successful reference to occur, we must also recognize the role of inference. Inferring is connecting prior knowledge to text-based information to create meaning beyond what is directly stated. Listeners make inferences about what is said in order to arrive at an interpretation of the speaker intending meaning. Words themselves don't refer to anything. People refers, because there is no direct relationship between entities and words. At the listener's task is to infer which entity the speaker intends to identify by using a particular expression, like Mr. Aftershave is late today. So people never say exactly what they mean, and people always infer more than what was said. For example, I just rented a house. The kitchen is really big. If X is house, then X has kitchen. We had Chardonnay with dinner. The wine is the best part. Chardonnay is kind of wine. The bus came on time, but he didn't stop. The bus. Notice that antecedent is bus, and the anaphoric expression is he. We would normally expect it to be used for a bus. Obviously, there is an inference involved here. So if someone is talking about a bus in motion, assume that there is a drive. That assumed driver is inferred different for he. The term inference has been used here to describe what listener or reader does. It is not unusual for people want to refer to someone, entity, or person without knowing exactly which name would be best word to use. We can even use vague expression like the blue thing and that icky stuff. Next, have you seen my Yule? Yeah, it is on the text. Inference. So inference is mean any additional information used by listener to connect what is said to what must be mean. Next, where is the fresh salad sitting? He is sitting by the door. Can I look at your Shakespeare? Sure, it is on the shelf over there. These examples make it clear that we can use names associated with things to refer to people, and name of people, like Shakespeare, to reverse things. The key process is called inference. And inference is any additional information used by the hearer to connect what is said to what must be meant. In example, so like, can we take it? Can I look at your Shakespeare? Sure, it is on the shelf over there. The hearer has to infer that the name of the writer of a book can be used to identify a book by that writer. In pragmatics, the act by which a speaker or writer uses language to enable a hearer or reader to identify something is called reference. This is the different reference and inference. First, reference. In reference, like the name Mr. Kawasaki is used to refer to a man who always rode loud and fast in his motorcycle. A brand name Kawasaki here is used to refer to a person here. Meanwhile, in inference, I enjoy listening to Mozart. This process where additional information is needed to connect what is said to what is meant. It is inference. Successful reference means that an intention was recognized via inference, indicating a kind of shared knowledge and hence social connection. Successful reference necessarily collaborative. Collaborative also means shared knowledge. It allows us to make sense of the following sentence. Picasso's on the far wall. My Rolling Stones is missing. My Rolling Stones is missing is the Rolling Stones not mean the stones that rolling, but kind of things that have name Rolling Stones. So that's all my presentation about reference and inference from Pragmatics book by George Yule. I'm sorry for my pronunciation, and if you want to add more explanation or critique and suggest, please write in the comments below. I'm Santa Sarasambhada from National University. Have a nice day. Have a nice day and goodbye. Thank you.